5. Now we all want to be faster on the tennis court, we want to reach more balls. And we also want to have more explosive power with our strokes. But how exactly can we do this? So your physical training can be as important, if not more important, than actually being on court and hitting thousands of balls. So in this video, I'm going to show you 10 of the very best drills and exercises that you can do to become faster, to become stronger, to have more balance and stability on the tennis court. Now before we get into drill 1, if you're serious about improving your game, then make sure you have subscribed to the channel and you turn on the notification bell. So this first drill will help you become faster with that recovery. So imagine you've been pushed out wide on a wide forehand or a wide backhand, you've hit that shot, you've stopped. Now it's all about how quickly can you get back into a good position on the court. And this first drill will help you to have that first step more explosive, more powerful, and get you building that momentum to get back into a good position. So for this drill, you'll just need to be on the tramlines and you're simply jumping back and forth between each line. So I'm starting on my outside leg on one line. And there and back would be 1 rep, and I'm going for 10 in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The second drill is all about your split step and building that explosive power. Now, the split step is the most important step in footwork. Often players will think about having good side steps, having good crossover steps, but they often neglect the basic step, which is the split step. And if you look at a player like Federer, who has such a great split step, and it's one of the reasons why he's always on balance, he's hitting his shots and he's coming back into that ready position and having that explosive split step to then push off. And this is because he's training that split step on a daily basis. So for this drill, you'll need a hurdle. So I've made my hurdle from 2 cones and a stick. Now you could also do this with just cones. It doesn't have to be that high. You can have it just a couple of inches off the ground, but you want to have something that you're jumping over and coming back on. So for this drill, I'm simply going to be behind my hurdle. I'm doing a split step over into another split step. I'm landing and then pushing back once again. Now if the hurdle's not too high, it might be easier to just go there and back. So land and push back off. But if you have a higher hurdle, even higher than this or similar height to mine, you might land, do a double split step and then jump back into a double split step. So you might be doing 2, 2, 2. So I'm going to go for 10 in a row. There and back is 1, using a double split step on both landings. Now to make this drill even harder and more intense, if you have access to one of these resistance bands that you can tie around your ankles, you can also do this drill with this around your ankles. This will increase the difficulty levels and make it more intense. Now we're going to let our legs rest a little bit. So for drill 3, we're now going to be working on our forearms. Now often players will ask us, how can we get more stable around the time of contact? Now this all starts with the strength in your forearm muscles. So the flexion and extension is crucial in developing those forearm muscles, making them stronger and making them more stable through that point of contact. If my forearm muscles are weak, when I hit a ball that's coming at me hard, my racket's going to be moving because I don't have that stability or the strength in my arm to actually hold that racket in that spot. So by making these muscles stronger, you should feel more stable when you're making contact, and your racket should be moving much less. So you'll need a resistance band for this drill, and the first one is simply I'm lifting my arm up just to around shoulder level, maybe slightly below. My arm is quite straight, and from here I'm now allowing my wrist to relax, and my hand has now dropped below my wrist level. From this position I'm now lifting up, and I'm coming all the way up, and you'll see my forearm muscles working hopefully. And from that position I'm just going to go for 10 in a row like this. Don't go too fast, so you're not doing it at high speeds. You're doing it controlled. You're allowing your muscles to really feel that burn, and we're going for 10 reps. Then you flip it over, and now you're going to have your elbows closer to your body, so tucked in, and I'm now allowing my hand to drop down. So my palm is now going to be facing the sky in this exercise. From here, I'm simply going to go up and come back down. And this is now working the other side of my forearm. Once again, we're going for 10 reps. And make sure you do it on both hands, even if you don't play with a two-handed backhand, even if you play a one-handed backhand, still do it with your non-hitting hand. This will help to balance out your body, and you won't have one forearm like Popeye's and the other one with no muscle. Once again, hand around shoulder level, palm is facing the ground now, and I'm just going up and down for 10 reps in a row. And then palm up. And there we go, that's one set. Now the forearm muscles are one of the hardest muscles to develop because we're constantly using them. We're always using them with our hands when we're picking up things. So you have to go a little bit harder on the reps and on the sets. Now I try to do 4 to 5 sets per day. So that's around 40 to 50 reps on each exercise. And this really helps me feel that stability when I'm actually playing tennis. The next drill is for the upper body and especially the core muscles. So I'm going to be starting in that press up position, going into a plank position, and then coming back into that press up position. So instead of just doing a traditional plank, holding it for a minute or 2 minutes, you're actually moving the body and you're having to stabilize the core muscles and also develop the chest muscles at the same time. So that stability will be great for when you're hitting those higher shots on both the forehand and backhand side. So I'm going to go for 10 in a row with this exercise. The press up position, down and up. The next exercise is now skipping. Now you don't need to have a skipping rope to actually do the drills I'm going to show you. You can do these just on your own with no rope at all. You can just copy along, follow along the drills that I'm going to show you. I'm going to be demonstrating them with the skipping rope. Now skipping is one of the best ways for players to get lighter on their feet, to develop those muscles at the back of the lower leg, so the calf muscles, and to just develop that feeling of lightness when they're moving. So first drill is simply skipping on the spot. Once I start to feel warm, I'll then start doing feet together into a split step position and coming back. And then drill number 3 will be changing feet, so running on the spot between the skips. The first one. Second one. Third one. Now personally I like to go for 100 of each in one set, so 100 normal, 100 of these there and back would be 1, and then 100 of these with each leg. You can always reduce that down to your own level, so this is something that you can play around with and see what works for you. The next drill is now for the balance and stability when you're hitting a forehand or a backhand ground stroke. So I'm going to be doing this on one leg. So for my forehand, I'm going to firstly start with my right leg, hopping between each cone, shadowing a forehand on the second cone, and then recovering, all doing it on one leg. Now this will be very hard for some of you, and if you want to skip this one, that is okay. Or you could actually practice it on the spot, so with no hopping, just simply shadowing your forehands and shadowing your backhands off one leg. This will also work. Now for the more advanced players and the players who really want to test themselves, you're going to be starting off here, popping out, hold, hit, come back. That would be 1, 2, 3, 4. You can go for 4 with each leg. So now I'll do the same forehands with my left leg. 1, 2, and up to 4. Then I'll do the same with my backhand, so my left leg first. And also play around with the distance that you have to cover. Sometimes you might be feeling a bit fresher, your legs are feeling good, you may move that cone even wider. On some days you won't feel as good, you can move it slightly closer. The main focus is to be balanced, so that when you actually get to that cone and shadow the forehand or the backhand, you're stable and you're not moving around and falling off balance. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the number of reps and sets that you'll do with these drills will be very dependent on your current physical condition. If you're very fit, you might go for 6 or 8 in a row per set, and you might go for 3 or 4 sets on each side. If you're someone who's just starting out with these plyometric kind of drills, you might only do 1 set because this is a real leg burner and you'll feel it the next day. The next drill is for that rotational power. The rotational power is one of the most important things for you to develop to become a better tennis athlete. And this is all about that coil and uncoil. We use this for the forehand, for the backhand. It doesn't matter which stroke we're hitting, unless we're hitting a volley with very little time. We're always coiling the upper body and then uncoiling. And the more explosive power you have in those core muscles, especially the obliques, the side abdominal muscles, the more power you'll be able to get. So for this drill, I'm using the resistance band once again tied to the net. I have my hand around both handles. I'm starting in this wide-based position, and from here I'm simply rotating, holding, and coming back. Now the first set I'll do it quite controlled. I'll make sure that I take my time through the motion, and that will be for 8 to 10 reps. But the second and third sets, I'll be doing them at high speeds, and that's really to mimic that kind of coil and uncoil that I want with my forehand and backhand. So first set controlled. Make sure you do both sides as well, so I'm doing my forehand side and my backhand side. I feel my core warmed up, I feel like I'm ready to start going faster. So my second set, I'm now going to go at higher speeds, still maintain good technique and good form all the way through. This next drill is now for the upper back muscles, so the muscles around the scapula. Now when we play tennis, we're often using our chest for the power. So on the forehand, we're using the chest muscles. When we hit a serve, we're using the chest muscles. When we hit a forehand volley, we're using the chest muscles. If you use a two-handed backhand, you're using the chest muscle on that top hand, so my left hand for the right-handers out there. So the older we get and the more we play tennis, the tighter our chest tends to become and the weaker our back tends to become. So the upper body muscles get out of balance. And often you'll see older players with this kind of hunchback because the shoulders start to drop forward because of the tight chest muscles, stronger chest muscles, and weak back muscles. So we want to avoid this, and if we look at players like Federer and Djokovic, two of the players who have really good postures, they have that straight back and you can see the muscles of that scapular region. In this drill, I've tied the resistance band around the net. All I'm going to be doing is starting off with both arms extended out in front of my torso region, and from here I'm now just coming to the side and holding that for a second. So here to here, hold and come back. Now that hold is crucial in developing that stability in the upper body and developing that muscle base around that scapular region. So don't just do this and come out at quick high speeds. You're actually holding that position for a second and then you come back. I'm going for 10 reps with this drill. The next drill is all about building that explosive power in the legs. So I'm going to be going into a lunge position on both my open stance forehand and open stance backhand, and from that position driving up, imagining I'm hitting a shot, so shadowing a forehand and shadowing a backhand. I'll start on the baseline, I'll go all the way to the net and I'll come back. So that'll be one set, there and back is one. Now this is a very advanced drill, and if you don't want to go too low, you don't have to. To still get benefits from this drill, you might only go halfway to around here, but then drive up. Now I'm going to be trying to go all the way down into that lunge position here, and then drive up to just exaggerate that knee bend and that loading of the legs. Now even if you play with the one-hander, you can still work on this open stance. It's still good for you to develop that left leg if you're a right-handed player. So still go down and then come up. And last but not least, we're now going to be working on that movement, that crossover and side step. So I'm going to be inside one service box. I'm going to use a crossover step to firstly initiate the movement. So a crossover, then a side, crossover and a side. So there you have it guys, 10 drills to hopefully help you improve your game. If you've enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. Signing off, Simon from TTT, all the best and see you soon.